Hi, I'm Yadi. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is part 2 of my trip to Mexico City. So if you haven't seen part 1 yet, you should probably watch that first, and then you can come back to this video, which will feature some more sights of Mexico City, and I'll also be sharing the big news that I got from the specialists that I saw while I was over there. So if you're interested in seeing any of that, then please stick around. So today is my last full day here in Mexico City. And I haven't really been updating you guys just because, well, first off, I've just been feeling lazy, but second of all, it's just been like a lot, and I've been feeling very overwhelmed with all the information and stuff. Like, came here looking for answers and I got them, and it's just like my brain is having trouble processing everything. It's kind of like, yeah, never mind, I actually didn't want the answers. So I mean, I'm kidding, I'm relieved to finally be able to see like the bigger picture, fill in the missing puzzle pieces. But yeah, it's been a lot. So I saw like 4 different specialists. First I saw a neurologist and a neurogastroenterologist and orthopedic, those doctors that deal with like bones and stuff, and a nutrition doctor, not to be confused with like a dietitian or nutritionist, like an actual doctor that specializes in nutrition. So yeah, first I saw the neurologist, who my dad's the one who found him online. Also, I'm kind of like getting over like the flu or something, I don't even know, so my voice is probably, yeah, it's probably gross. Yeah, I saw that doctor because my dad made the appointment. He's a neurologist,
he also like he did internal medicine, and he's like his specialty is in autonomic dysfunction, so he knows a lot about dysautonomia and a lot of other stuff too. Yeah, that appointment was intense. He was like, they told us beforehand it was gonna be like 2 hours because he's very like thorough. And yeah, I felt like I was being interviewed by like my boyfriend's parents or something. He asked me so many questions, and like he would, instead of like saying, do you experience brain fog, he would like give you like a scenario like, oh, have you ever had a day where you're kind of like you were trying to remember the name of this movie and you know that it's about like, because he was very into Star Wars, so he was giving me examples of Star Wars. He's like, this movie that's about like, you remember that there's this guy in there, and you know he's going through the galaxy trying to fight this bad guy that's all in black, and his name is Darth Vader, but you can't remember the name of the movie. And then he was like, have you ever experienced that? And I was like, yeah, definitely. But yeah, he would give me examples like that of like scenarios instead of saying like just the symptoms. And yeah, he went, like I said, he did like a whole bunch of questions first about stuff that I'd been experiencing, symptoms, and then he went on to like family history, which like my parents were there for that, so they were able to answer more questions, because I don't really know, like us Mexicans, we don't really talk about like things like that. We mostly just say, oh yeah, so and so had like stomach issues. We don't really say like so and so had the diagnosis of this and stuff, so it's kind of difficult. And then after that, he kind of asked me, you know, about what had been going on, and I explained to him like, you know, my issues with like doctors not wanting to see me over there, and like also like the doctors at my old hospital, how they didn't want to help me. And he did a physical examination too. He had me like stretch my skin like that, and like do like move things with like my hands and like my arms. And he like kept making, like he would have me get up like really fast, like trying to see if I would get lightheaded doing stuff. And I remember when he was doing all like these things, he's like, God, I can't believe they haven't seen it, it's so obvious, you're so obviously hypermobile. I was like, okay. And he just kept saying like, I can't believe they missed this. And so yeah, he ended up telling me that he was like, yeah, it's very likely that you have something called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which, like, being around like in the support groups and stuff, I'd kind of heard somewhat about it. Like, I vaguely know about it, but I'm not like, you know, obviously I don't know like a whole lot, like I'm not an expert or anything, but I had heard some. I just know that like in the gastroparesis groups, I've heard a lot about it. Like I know that like there's like quite a few people that have it there. But yeah, I was kind of surprised. I mean, kind of like I kind of suspected maybe, because like my cardiologist had also mentioned like a genetic thing like component and stuff, so I was wondering if that's where it was headed. Like I wasn't sure if it was like EDS exactly, but I knew that it was kind of headed like in that direction of like genetic stuff maybe. So yeah, I didn't even mention it to him. He like brought this up all on his own. All I mentioned was like stuff like my history, like, you know, the dysautonomia, MALS, gastroparesis, and I mentioned that I was having issues like my feeding tube and finding someone who could help. And so he told me that he was going to put me in contact with a gastroenterologist. He says we see patients a lot in conjunction, like with like both of them at the same time, like that have similar issues. So yeah, he told me, he was like, yeah, more than likely your stomach issues have like are as a result of EDS. So he also had me, like, he wanted me to do some tests that I did end up doing, although his tests I ended up doing lastly because I saw the GI and like the nutrition doctor, and they wanted me to do some tests like urgently and stuff. So Yeah, it was like he was very eccentric. He was writing all his notes down with like he like does calligraphy, and he had a whole bunch of like pens like all over his desk. Like it was all very like organized and stuff. You could tell it's like a hobby, a passion of his. And also, like I said, he's into like space. I could tell because he had like Star Wars Funko Pops, and his screensaver on his computer was like space related, like a whole bunch of like Star Wars, Star Trek, all that stuff. It's one of the things I like about here is that like doctors, they have personal touches in their offices. It's not like over there where you go into like a white sterile room and everything's like intimidating and scary. I prefer this, like it makes them seem more human, and I'm already intimidated enough by doctors. I don't find more ways to be intimidated by them, so definitely prefer this. And so I saw the GI doctor. He's a neuro gastroenterologist who specializes in motility. So finally, after so many years, I finally got to see a motility specialist. And yeah, he also did the whole thing where he asked me like questions. He wasn't as like dramatic about it as the neuro doctor, the neurologist. He kind of has a flair for the dramatic, which I can kind of, I guess, appreciate. But yeah, like the GI doctor was more kind of straightforward, and he asked me a whole bunch of stuff, and then he told me, yeah, so you meet a lot of the criteria for mast cell activation syndrome, which he was talking about how it tends to go in conjunction. He showed me like a little diagram. He was like, there's the trifecta of like EDS, POTS, and MCAS, mast cell activation syndrome. He was like, you meet a lot of the criteria for the mast cell activation syndrome. And I was also like, what? Like I just felt like I just kept getting hit like with all these things out of like left field, like me not expecting all these things. But yeah, like I said, it's good to have answers, because every little piece of the puzzle is one step closer, I guess, to like finally getting treatment and stuff. I guess finally getting adequate treatment. And so yeah, I explained to him that I was having issues with my feeding tube and like tolerating my formula, and I'd lost a lot of weight. And he was like, yeah, you have malnutrition. And I was like, yeah, well, it's kind of funny because over there they say that because my blood tests are fine, mostly fine, because they're not actually like all fine. Like I have like, you look at them and it's like low, maybe sometimes something high, low, and they're like, no, yeah, they're all fine. And I'm like, what's the point of doing these stupid ass tests if you guys just say that everything's fine? You don't even like, I don't know, it's just dumb. He was like, yeah, no, like based on your weight alone, you're like, and like the amount that you're telling me that you're getting through your, because I showed him like the carton and the nutrition facts and stuff. Like there's no way, like you're definitely malnourished. There's no way you're fine. He was so surprised by what I had told him, and I was like, well, yeah, I'm not even a doctor, and I already know that I'm malnourished. Like it's so obvious. Like you can't be like have like adequate nutrition, have getting all your nutrients and stuff from the amount that I'm getting. It's absolutely ridiculous. I can't even believe that they would even try to say that. So then he was kind of explaining like some of the reasons. He was like, maybe you could have SIPO, which is like chronic intestinal pseudo obstruction. He was kind of giving me like the different options of what could be causing me to have issues with my formula. But he told me that he wanted me to see the nutrition doctor first before doing tests, because he wanted to see like if he wanted to change my formula or what was like the deal. So he then referred me to the nutrition doctor, who was the next doctor I saw, and he kind of freaked me out because he was kind of like saying, yeah, like you're like in a state of very severe malnutrition. Because I kind of went from, like I said, I know that it's not normal to be living off of this because I keep losing weight. Like I can't sustain my weight with this, and it's like I said, I can't get enough nutrients with the amount that I'm getting. But he kind of went like, yeah, you're like in a severe state of malnutrition. There's no way you're getting enough nutrition or hydration, because I told him I'm only able to flush with like very small amounts. He was like, yeah, this is very severe and we need to get the test done and figure out what's going on like quickly, because this is very urgent. And it was just like very like, it's kind of went from like a whole like 180 from like over there in Dallas, doctors being like, yeah, you're fine, like the ER doctors that I went to, they're like, yeah, you're fine, there's no malnutrition, nothing wrong with you, to being like, this is very urgent, we need to get this done ASAP. And yeah, kind of freaked me out. But like I said, I'm glad that is finally being taken seriously, the gravity of the situation finally like being acknowledged, because I know that it's very serious, and I've been very scared for so long, and like just very scared for my health overall, because like I said, this has been affecting me like really badly. Like before I came over here, my health was doing so poorly, and I was feeling very, very bad, and this is causing me, like the malnutrition, not getting enough nutrients, and losing a lot of weight is causing me so many problems, like the very debilitating tailbone pain that I started having like before coming over here, that basically had me in bed because I couldn't walk. It hurt so bad, like even laying in bed hurt, but it was like the only way I would have the least amount of pain. Walking hurt, sitting hurt, standing, going from laying down to standing, from sitting to standing, I would get these like shooting pains that would even go up to my head and would give me like headaches. It's like really bad. And I know, like I suspected that it was because of the losing weight, and like the orthopedist, that's essentially what he told me after having MRIs and an x-ray done. He was like, yeah, there's nothing wrong, it's more than likely you just losing weight and not having like muscle and padding there. And I was like, well, like I blame the doctors over there for that, because they allowed this to happen to me. I kept going to them and asking, practically begging for help, and they're like, no, you're fine, there's nothing wrong with you, we're not gonna do anything to help you. And like I didn't want this, like I'm not losing weight on purpose, so I blame this on them, like my poor health, like me being anemic, my dysautonomia getting worse, and also my that horrible tailbone pain that just like my mental health got really bad because of it, because I was scared. I was like, I don't want to live with this pain for however long it is. Like thankfully the ortho was able to give me some pain medication, because over there my primary gave me some, but it wasn't really helping. It was just like muscle relaxers, and it was barely doing anything for me. Like I just couldn't do anything. Like I said, I could just lay in bed, and it was making me very depressed. I didn't want to lay in bed. I want to be able to do stuff, like, and I don't want to be in like horrible excruciating pain all the time. It's awful. I've already dealt with chronic pain, so for me to go and like be like, please help me, this is really terrible pain, you know that it's like it has to be truly awful, because I've dealt with pain for years now. My shoulder pain, my wrist pain, my knee pain, my ankle pain, like I've dealt with that for so many years. So like for me to say this is excruciating pain, you have to know it's like really, really bad. Anyways, the nutrition doctor ordered some tests. One of them was like, basically it was a stool test, which is disgusting. And then, well, the first thing he wanted to rule out was, he said he wanted to make sure like my tube hadn't moved out of place. He was like, because that could be causing issues if it had flipped back into my stomach. I told him I already had a CT scan in December. He was like, unless I have like the actual pictures, you know, I need to be able to see the actual pictures. So I ended up having to get an x-ray of like to make sure that my tube was in place. And then after that, he was like, if that's fine, then after that the next step is getting a CT scan with contrast. And he had said, you know, like based on what we find, one of the possibilities could be that you might have to end up getting parenteral nutrition, TPN, which is when they put your nutrition, they put like a port and it has to go through, like, instead of getting your nutrition like through my tube, which is, you know, it goes into my intestines, you would have to get your nutrition through your veins, which is a very extreme option and something that they always say for like last resort, because it comes with a lot of risks. I've heard about the risks in the support group. I was kind of like scared when he said that. I was like, please hope that it's not something that ends up with me like on TPN. Yeah, so we did the tests. Like I said, the x-ray ended up fine. The stool test also came out fine, and then they did the CT scan, and basically what they said was that my intestines, or like intestines, colon, everything is just like, my entire GI system is just super slow. And they're like, it's probably as a result of, like, the GI doctor says, probably as a result of the whole EDS thing, which the neurologist also said. And like he said, he was like, the contrast went fine, so you don't have an obstruction. So like I said, he was like saying, you know, it's just like my GI system is just super slow. So he gave me like, he upped my medications, like my prokinetics, up to like the absolute like full amount that I could take, to try and see if that would help. But like, yeah, basically he was saying that yeah, I mean, if we can't, you know, increase my formula, because I get like issues, like I said, I get the whole, like, I don't know if I mentioned, like, I end up having to go to the bathroom a lot, and like nausea, bloating, pain. And so I was telling him, you know, I have trouble with that. So he's like, you know, they were saying, him and the nutrition doctor, like, the next step was looking like, it's like I'm gonna have to, or else I'm gonna die from malnutrition, is for me to get TPN, and maybe, like, you know, just run through like some supplemental stuff, like whatever I can tolerate through the tube, and get like the full, like the rest of it. Basically my main source would be the TPN, which was honestly like very scary for me to hear, because like I said, that was something that I was really hoping we could avoid, just because I've heard about all the risks, like, and he was explaining to me, the nutrition doctor, the risks, like, everything has to be sterile, because you could go into septic shock if you get like an infection. Over here they don't even let you like access it yourself. But yeah, I guess the issue is that, like, we saw when they told us that, it was like it was like last Monday, so a week ago, no, last Tuesday. So it was during our last week, so we couldn't really do the whole TPN route, because it would be a lot of expensive. It would be like, first off, it would be very expensive for me to be hospitalized here and have the whole like procedure of placing the Hickman done. It would just be very expensive. And second of all, it would, like, there's just not enough time. We had like less than a week left. Well, we had a week left here, so there's just not enough time to have it all done. So I asked the doctors to like write a report, each of them, so that I could take back home and see if, I don't even know. I don't know what's gonna happen. Honestly, everything is so unsure, because as I mentioned, there's no GI doctors that I can see over there. The only ones I can see are the ones at my old hospital, the old hospital that was gonna let me die. I doubt they didn't want to place the tube before I had my tube. I doubt they're gonna want to do TPN, so I don't really know what I'm gonna do, but I'm taking the reports to see if hopefully, I don't even know. Honestly, I'm scared. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find doctors over there that'll be willing to do the TPN, or even be willing to see me and actually treat me. Like, yeah, I don't know. That's the whole reason I came over here, because I couldn't find doctors over there. I'm doubting I'm gonna be able to find them now. I don't know. So basically, so I forgot to mention, so they diagnosed me with intestinal failure, which is why they want me to go on the TPN, because like I said, like, my intestines, basically that's when you, like, your intestines are unable to be able to be fed, you know, like orally or through the tube, and so you need like the parenteral nutrition. So yeah, they were like, you have intestinal failure, you need a TPN, which is what they wrote on the reports for me to take back home. And also like the EDS and the MCAS stuff. And so like the GI doctor, he told me, because I was telling him about my issues with like seeing doctors over there, he was telling me, because like the hospital I've been going to here is like affiliated with the Mayo Clinic, something like that. Like they have like a partnership or something. He says they get like doctors from over there to come here and like teach them and stuff. He said he was going to consult with them and see what they could tell him about me going over to like the Mayo Clinic. He's like, yeah, you basically need to go somewhere like the Mayo Clinic, somewhere where you can have like a whole team, like a multidisciplinary approach where like all the doctors are kind of, you know, communicating with each other, just because my case is so complicated. But obviously it's difficult for me because I live in Texas. They don't have a Mayo Clinic there, and it's hard for me to travel over there in the US because like it's more expensive over there to see doctors, and like I really doubt my state Medicaid is gonna cover like Mayo Clinic over in like wherever it is. I don't even remember, Minnesota or something. So yeah, that's basically all that's happened. And I guess now you guys understand why I said I was like so overwhelmed, because it's been like very scary. Like obviously I'm finally, like after so long, I finally have doctors that like looked into why I wasn't tolerating my feeds. But I'm also just very scared about, like I said, the whole TPN thing scares me. Like even when I first got my surgical feeding tube, like I was very scared of that. Even the nose tube, like I was scared of it, but I was more scared of dying. And right now, obviously I don't want to die from malnutrition, but the whole TPN thing is just very very intimidating, I guess. But like I said, I don't know, everything's so uncertain. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if I'll be able to find doctors over there. I feel like I like my PCP, but I feel like, I don't talk bad about her, but I feel like she just, like all she does is write the referrals. But I keep telling her, you know, I can't find doctors to see me, and it seems like she doesn't really want to do anything more. And I feel like that's just how doctors over there are in general. Like they know that I'm like basically starving to death, and they're just like, you know, whatever, I just write the referrals if you can't find a doctor. You know, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's surprising to me, just considering, like I said, how the doctors here, like they were very invested in trying to find, like getting to the root of the problem and figuring it out, and basically them being like, yeah, this is very urgent, this is a very serious matter, you really need to, we need to figure out what's going on, we need to get you some nutrition because it's very dangerous for you to be without adequate nutrition. And so it's like night and day, the difference between how much the doctors here care and the doctors over there. And I know people are gonna be like, oh, you're just ragging on, like, you know, US doctors, but I mean, let's be real, the system over there is just, it's not working, it's broken, it's failing people, it's letting people die. And I'm not being dramatic, literally people have died, like, you know, because they haven't gotten treatment on time. And that could be that, I'm not trying to be dramatic, that could have been me, because if I would have just stayed over there, no one would have given me answers. No one would have cared enough to look into it, because over there doctors are just like, well, I just specialize in this thing. If you have another issue and another thing, I'm not gonna deal with that. I'm not even gonna, like, you know, I'm not even gonna look at that or whatever. And here doctors, like, even though they have their specialties, they tend to look more at like the bigger picture, where over there I focus on one thing. And it's just, it's like I said, it's very broken. And I know I'm just talking truth. I don't, like I said, that's not just me ragging on like American doctors or America in general. I mean, obviously there's stuff over there that's better than over here. So like, I don't want people being like, oh, you hate America. No, I hate some stuff about America that's fucked up and that fails people, especially marginalized people like me in the chronic illness community, who are constantly being let down by the fucked up like healthcare system over there, because it is fucked up. Like, that's, argue with the wall. I said what I said. And I also wanted to give you guys a little bit of a hotel room tour, since this is my last day. And if it's messy, it's because I've been living here for like 3 weeks, so don't judge. So here's the door, and they have a list of like rules that you have to follow here. And then here's like we have a little window. We usually keep it closed, but that's a little like sitting area where sometimes we go out and sit. And there you can see that door right there with the light on. That's the communal kitchen, which everyone can go and use. The cool thing is that this hotel room comes with a little like mini fridge, which has been like super useful, so that like my parents haven't had to eat out. They can buy like groceries and make food here in the kitchen. There's a safe to put all your valuables in, this little thing to store stuff. This is the desk, which is like my parents mostly use that. Here's my bottles of water that I've been using to like clean my bags that I use for my feeds, and also like the flushes and stuff. Here's my nightstand where I keep my things. My drawer full of crap. And here's the coat hooks on the wall. And over here is the sink, the mirror, the closet.
That's the conclusion of my recent trip to Mexico. I know that there's a lot of information that I kind of dumped on you guys, but that just means I had a really productive trip, and I also kind of just wanted to share all the juicy stuff with you guys. I just really want people to know the difficulties that those of us with chronic illness can have in getting an actual diagnosis. I mean, like, it took me so many freaking years just to finally get to the root cause of what was causing all my other illnesses. And I know a lot of other people struggle like that too. If any of you also have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, I'd be interested to know how long it took you to get your diagnosis. If you want to leave that in the comments down below. And I hope that you guys found this video interesting and that you enjoyed it. If you did, then please give it a like, hit the subscribe button, and share with all your friends and family, anyone you know that might be interested in seeing this type of content. It would really help me out. And I don't know when I'll be uploading another video. I know because of my health I've kind of been a little inconsistent, but hopefully it'll be sometime soon. And I hope to see you there in the next one. Bye!